The RCA Dome in Indianapolis, home of the Colts, since they moved here from Baltimore in 1984. Take a look at this matchup with the Steelers and the Colts. Each of these teams is 21-3 over the last 24 regular season games. So that's exactly a season and a half. Pittsburgh, with those 3 losses this year. Remember, last year they were 15-1 after losing on opening day. Now they come in 7-3, come off a loss last week to Baltimore. Quincy Morgan and Ricardo Coakley are back to receive as the Steelers will get the ball, and Dave Rayner, who is their kickoff guy. Mike Vanderjagt is the field goal kicker, but Rayner does the kicking off, and he sends this one down to the 4-yard line, and it's Coakley who brings the ball back out to the 25-yard line. Roethlisberger back in the lineup. You have a flag down coming in at the end of the play as Big Ben gets ready to play for the first time since Halloween night on Monday Night Football against Baltimore.
During the return, personal foul, number 36 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Phil Levy is the referee tonight. Dexter Reed commits the foul, and Ben Roethlisberger, 18-1 as a starter, took over last year early in the 2004 season when Tommy Maddox got hurt, but he's missed 4 games this year, most recently with that knee injury sustained against Baltimore. He had arthroscopic knee surgery on the left knee about 3 weeks ago, and back in action right now.
And he's going to, excuse me, Al, he's going to love starting here because he just picked up 15 yards of field position.
From the 25 to the 40 they go. Willie Parker is the running back. They start with a double tight end set and a fullback, and it's a tackle by Raheem Brock back of the line of scrimmage. Now, when Roethlisberger says Miami, he means Miami of Ohio, because anybody who went to the school in Florida just calls it the U, as you know, in the introductions. And that pass is too high, and that defense playing very well this year. Last week they gave up 37 points to Cincinnati, but Indy won in a track meet 45-37. 3rd and 11, and Roethlisberger checking down and then throws to his tight end, and that's Heath Miller. He can only get to the 44, and it's a 3-and-out start.
I think Ben Roethlisberger just wanted to get off to a start, get the rust off. He said he wanted to start with a running play. He did. They didn't make any yards on it. The second down was incomplete. He was worried about that 3rd down because with these speed rushes of the Colts, and you playing here on the road and in the shotgun, that's the toughest situation you'll be in.
Chris Gardocki is in his 15th season in the league, spent some of those years in Indianapolis. Troy Walters is back to run the kickback for the Colts. Good kick, and they're going to let it bounce at the 1-yard line, and into the end zone it goes. The Indianapolis Colts, highest scoring team in the National Football League. As we say, threw up 45 last week at Cincinnati, 31 in the game before that, 40 at New England on a Monday night 3 weeks ago. And Manning will go right to the air, and Manning going for 6, and he has a wide open Harrison, and that's the way the undefeated Indianapolis Colts begin the game with an 80-yard touchdown as Harrison runs right by Ike Taylor.
I'll tell you, Ike Taylor is in man-to-man coverage on Marvin Harrison, and you're going to see him right here. He's watching the quarterback. He's watching Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning gives that play-action fake, and that was enough for Marvin Harrison to get by Ike Taylor. And I'll tell you, if I was guarding Marvin Harrison, I would never look into the backfield. I would never watch Edgerrin James. I would never worry about the run.
And the extra point is good by Vanderjagt. Pittsburgh hadn't given up a touchdown pass of 20 yards or longer this season. They give up an 80-yarder on the opening Indianapolis play. 7-0 Colts. Manning and Harrison have combined now for 91 touchdowns, most in history. That was the longest of those 91 connections, 80 yards.
You know, and that's Peyton Manning's read. He sees Troy Polamalu, the strong safety, you have 8 men in a box, That means you don't run, you throw, you play action pass.
Rayner with his second kickoff of the game. This one to Coakley from the 9. And he brings it back out to the 28-yard line. You know, John, you're talking about the Steelers wanting to shorten the game. The Steelers would like, of course, to win the time of possession battle, but the Colts have their own way of shortening the game.
And that's Peyton Manning, and that's what he's going to do. If you're going to take away the run, again with the 8-man up, bringing Troy Polamalu, the safety down, that says to him, I have to throw. And if I'm going to throw, I may as well throw deep, and I might as well throw it to Marvin Harrison.
Steelers throwing it out on their first possession, begin now from the 28-yard line. They give it to Parker. And Willie Parker, undrafted second-year player out of North Carolina. He's won the starting job. They have Jerome Bettis, of course, backing him up. They also have Deuce Staley in uniform. Those three all suiting for the first time as a trio tonight.
What's great, Dwight Freeney right there. He plays through that double team pretty well. You know, everyone thinks that he's an edge pass rusher and that he's going to get up the field, and you want to run at him to calm him down. At that time, Freeney handled the run.
And they bring in Mathis at the other end now. Mathis is the pass rush specialist. Number 98 comes in on passing downs, but the Steelers will stick to the ground here with no effectiveness on that play. On 2nd and 13, that's Gary Brackett making the tackle. Ben Roethlisberger hurt his right knee in week 1, but he was able to remain in the game and played through the San Diego game, the Monday night game, when he hurt his other knee. Then he went back and hurt the original knee against Baltimore in the Monday night game, had surgery to repair the torn meniscus, has missed the last 3 games, comes back tonight.
And he admitted to us last night that he's going to be a little rusty early and not be adjusted to the speed of the game, but he hopes he does quickly.
3rd and 13, and the Indianapolis Colts are on fire at the outset. Monte Rager with the sack.
Yeah, that's the thing. You worry about Freeney coming from one side, Mathis coming from the other side, then you get Monte Rager coming inside. He's going to beat Alan Faneca right here. Here's Rager right here, and you just see him. He starts that swim move. He starts to the outside and pushes with his left arm, brings his right arm over, and he's right there on Ben Roethlisberger. Good move on Alan Faneca, who I think is one of the best guards in football.
Went to the Pro Bowl. Gardaki's punt hauled in 32-yard line by Troy Walters, and it's a 10-yard run back to the 42-yard line. After a 49-yard boot, 11:13 to go in the opening period. Colts red hot at the outset, 7-zip. Peyton Manning, who started on opening day as a rookie, hasn't missed a start. 21 touchdown passes. So in each of his 8 seasons, 20 or more. There's Harrison. And Reggie Wayne on the other side, and you can't forget about him. He's the beneficiary of Harrison getting doubled so much. The ball is at the 44-yard line for the Colts' second offensive play. The play fake. Manning buys time and steps up and throws, and that one is caught by Wayne, and that'll be a first down. He's taken out of bounds by Brian McFadden at the 44-yard line of the Colts. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 12-yard gain.
Yeah, and you see that the Steelers are playing zone here, and you watch McFadden again. He's looking in the backfield, and the problem with that is when you look in the backfield and you see him play fake, then you want to take a step up to help on that run. The run support doesn't need you. You have to stay back in coverage.
From the 43, you've got Harrison. You have Wayne. You have Dallas Clark as the tight end. They play him in the slot very often, as they do here. And then you have Edgerrin James. What else do you need? Here's James. Picks up 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6 now. Joey Porter hobbled off. James Harrison comes in as the linebacker number 92 in Porter's spot. And Manning will throw, and that will be caught by Wayne. And Wayne's going to get the first down. He's inside the 30 and goes all the way down to the 20-yard line. That's a 19-yard gain as Manning listens for the call from Tom Moore.
Yeah, they found something out here that they like, and it's Brian McFadden covering out here on Reggie Wayne. And this is what I like about Reggie Wayne now. I mean, he is big and powerful, and when he gets that ball, he's going to take it right up the field and try and run over someone. This guy has really become a heck of a threat on this Colt offense.
From the 20-yard line on first down, back to the ground. And Edgerrin James picks up 4. Edgerrin James played his college ball at Miami, of course, involved in the deal where Marshall Faulk went to the Rams, and they picked him up. And Edgerrin James has done a phenomenal job. Had knee surgery about 4 years ago, but has come back, runs, catches the ball, and is great in pass protection. Joey Porter comes back in the game, 55. 2nd and 7. Short drop by Manning. Wayne again, and Wayne working on Bryant McFadden, the right corner, the rookie out of Florida State, taking him to school.
Yeah, this was what Tony Dungy was saying last night about Peyton Manning, is now he has so much confidence in Reggie Wayne. You know, it's not that he has to throw to Marvin Harrison all the time. And if you want to double over there, Marvin, you want to do something to Clark, he is going to get the ball to Reggie Wayne. This is a pretty good matchup Wayne has here.
1st and goal from the 9. This is a big early game stop here for the Steelers.
Right, but it's not a bad down to go back to Reggie Wayne on this play.
Wayne set up to the left. Instead, they go to James, at least for the moment. It'll be 2nd down and goal. The nose tackle, Casey Hampton, number 98, wraps him up.
Yeah, that's why they're so good when they get in this red zone or inside the 20, because they still have the real threat of a run. You know, they don't have to get inside the 20 and throw it into the end zone. If you want to play anything loose at all, they're going to run it to Edgerrin James.
But the defensive coordinator, one of the best ever, but right now that defense already giving up an 80-yard touchdown pass, backed up again through the Colts and goal. Colts, as always, without a huddle. They ran 71 plays against Cincinnati last week with nary a huddle. James, and he'll get stopped in the middle, so they go to him twice, and this time it's James Farrier, and that sets up a 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, James Farrier is back. He's missed the last couple of games, and you see he's number 51 right here, and he is a good run stopper inside. I mean, these Steeler inside linebackers are very, very good against the run because they're good tacklers.
Repeat 2nd down.
And you got a flag for a personal foul. It was Marvin Harrison, I think, who the foul was called against. He and Ike Taylor on the play before had gotten into a little pushy shovey thing, and this is the next play after that, and they're going to call Harrison for this one.
Yeah, and Bill Cowher's out there in the field. I wonder if Bill Cowher didn't call this, because it's right in front of their bench. I don't know that wasn't on both of them, though, don't you think?
It looked like it because they had engaged on the prior play.
You know, both these teams were joying and fired up in the pregame warm-up. It was one of those things. Joey Porter was going after Reggie Wayne, and a bunch of this stuff we're seeing now, you know, started to happen about an hour ago.
The enforcement is from the previous spot. Ball goes to the 22-yard line.
There's the play before, Al, that you were talking about. See, that's always, you have to get the last push in. You know what I mean? And that's all that is. And here's the one they called. I guess Harrison showed him at the end because Taylor got the last push in the play before. Harrison got the last one that time. That's why he was penalized.
That's life. Last push, last word, last bite. They call it on Harrison. It makes it 2nd down and goal at the 22-yard line. Manning out of the shotgun. Over the middle, and that's hauled in by Clark, the tight end, who's become a big part of their passing offense. Deshae Townsend makes the stop, and the ball will be at the 18, 3rd and goal.
Well, they're trying to substitute. They better watch out.
And Manning knowing that, and so often he'll get that penalty call for too many men.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Pittsburgh. That's their first charge. Timeout.
They had to do that, otherwise it would have been too many men. Shea Townsend is the guy who gets the attention here.
And he's their best cornerback too. In fact, they were in nickel, and he was playing in the slot. They had 3 corners in there, and he is the corner slot. And he was on Dallas Clark on this drive, or Stokely.
They bring Ricardo Coakley and Tyrone Carter into the game here on 3rd down and goal. The ball is at the 18-yard line after the Pittsburgh defensive timeout. And they're going to run Edgerrin James, so that's a pretty interesting call as he takes it to the 11-yard line. They did have a 1st and goal inside the 9, but the penalty pushed him back. And now Vanderjagt comes in for a chip shot field goal attempt.
You know why they ran that? Because Pittsburgh was in a cover 2. And anytime they have 2 deep safeties way back and they don't have many up in front, then that tells Peyton Manning run the ball. So earlier when they would have 8 men up in the line of scrimmage, that tells them play action pass. If they want to play deep and play off, that tells them run.
29-yard attempt for Vanderjagt. Hunter Smith does the holding. Indianapolis has scored on its first 2 possessions tonight. 6 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the opening period in Indianapolis. Colts 10, Steelers nothing. Always a good sign when your kickoff man kicks off for the 3rd time in a quarter. That's the case here for Rayner.
Don't you feel that the Colts are just too fast in this first quarter for the Steelers?
Absolutely. On both sides of the ball. Coakley out to the 33. Indy 10-0 since the Dolphins in 72 ran the table. The Vikings under Bud Grant lost game 11. Then you had the Dolphins in 84. They went to the Super Bowl, lost to the 49ers. Of course, the Bears in 85 lost only once and then won the Super Bowl. Bill Parcells, his team was 10-0. The 49ers were also 10-0 in 1990. The Skins in 91 went on to win the Super Bowl. And in 98, Mike Shanahan's Broncos were 13-0, lost to the Giants, but when it was all over and done with, had won the Super Bowl. Now Jerome Bettis is in the game to the 35-yard line. On a number of counts, John, if the Colts do it, Miami was 14-0 and won the 3. Indy would have to go 16-0, longer schedule. And the media pressure and scrutiny and intensity so much greater now than it was in 72.
Yeah, it's tough, but I still think it's a good tough. You know, if you said, would you rather be undefeated or anything else, there's nothing else I would rather be than undefeated. And I would take that scrutiny and that pressure. And just being around the Colts for the last 3 days, I feel that they're taking it very well.
2nd and 10, quick pass to the outside, and that's hauled in by Cedric Wilson. But the Colts are there en masse to knock them down, led by Bob Sanders, number 21.
Yeah, and that's the speed that I was talking about. You know, we know the offense and we know the wide receivers getting deep and all these, but this defense has speed too, and that's what Tony Dungy has put in his team. And look at the pursuit. I mean, all those blue jerseys, you know, wherever the ball is, they are going to swarm the ball. Not the biggest guys, but very good speed on this defense.
3rd down and 7. They bring Deuce Staley into the game. Right now he aligns next to Roethlisberger out of the shotgun. And Roethlisberger will go down as Dwight Freeney may have been offside, though. Indy was so quick across the line. There is a flag down. He ran right through Marvell Smith, who missed this last week's game with an ankle sprain.
Number 93 defense.
And that's why.
That's why I said, holy moly. He ran right over Marvell Smith. And he either really got off of the ball or got off a little early. Here it is right here. This is tough. You see, Marvell Smith has to look in to see the ball. This is the toughest thing they have to do. And then he gets out, but he stands straight up, and Dwight Freeney just runs right over him. See Marvell's eyes. He's looking in at the ball. Then he has to know Freeney is on that outside shoulder. Freeney just got to jump before the jump on that one.
Freeney is 268. Smith is 321. It's 3rd down and 2. Roethlisberger under pressure, and that pass is incomplete. And that's Raheem Brock who comes in there to knock down Roethlisberger. So the Pittsburgh Steelers still do not have a 1st down.
Yeah, we talk about Marvell Smith and the pressure he has. We know that he has to block Dwight Freeney. You see him, he has to turn in to see the ball, and then he has to get his head back to get on Freeney, and he's just not quick enough to do it. You know, he's coming off a high ankle sprain, too. He missed last week.
Gardocki to punt, his third punt. This one's a short one. Bounces at the 25, goes out of bounds at the 13. So the Steelers have run 9 plays. There's a flag down. They've gained yardage on only 2 of those 9 plays. Bill Levy with the call.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 36. Excuse me, of the receiving team. 15-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
Cheers the boos in the second. That's the second foul against Dexter Reed. After the personal foul, Manning starts this drive from the 7-yard line. On the ground, James cuts back the other way. Townsend is back in the game. He runs by him and is taken down at the 11-yard line by Troy Polamalu, who has very much become the face of this Pittsburgh defense. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated about 3 weeks ago. Of course, he makes Al Harris of the Packers look like he has a crew cut. And Troy Polamalu, who played his college football at USC. The one thing about him, you'll always notice him. Not only because of that mane, but he is all over the field. Moves in and out, side to side, all over the place.
Yeah, he has great instincts. As Dick LeBeau says, we want to surprise and disguise, and he's the master at disguise.
And Marvin Harrison looks for the flag and gets it as Ike Taylor was all over him.
Pass interference, number 24 defense. Automatic first down, spot on the foul.
Yeah, the thing that they did is, of course, they got burned by Harrison. So now watch, here's Polamalu playing way back here. Here's the corner up here. They're playing a cover 2 shell. They started with Polamalu up in a cover 3 shell, and of course they got burned by that. So they've gone to a more conservative defense with 2 deep safeties.
From the 18-yard line. Great play fake. Buys time, and it's picked off by Polamalu. So the Steelers get a big, much-needed break, and Polamalu will take it inside the 10 and set up a 1st and goal at the 7-yard line.
That was the adjustment that Dick LeBeau made. Instead of the cover 3, instead of having Polamalu up there around the line of scrimmage for the run, he has him back here. Here you're going to see it's a cover 2 shell right here. He's just waiting for anything that Marvin Harrison does to the inside. He comes inside, Harrison starts to come inside, and Troy Polamalu just beats him to that inside. I'm not exactly sure what Peyton Manning was reading, but I know what Polamalu was reading. He was reading Peyton Manning, and he was reading Marvin Harrison.
So moments after we spotlight the face of the Pittsburgh defense, he turns in a huge play with a score 10-0. Jerome Bettis is the running back. The ball is at the 7-yard line. Steelers still seeking their first down. To the 5-yard line. Of course, if they get a first down here, it'll be a touchdown. Mike Doss makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
You know, that running is fine. You know, and we're a running team. We have to run at them and all that stuff. But it has to be effective running. And that's what the Steelers haven't been able to do. They've been trying to run. But if you don't get a first down with your run, then you have to go someplace else. Like play action pass. Like right now.
They have 5 rushes for -2. 2nd down and goal. Flag, Bettis, and that play was whistled before the snap.
Start, number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So loud, of course, you're going to see that a lot with the visiting team. The false start. Kendall Simmons this time to back them up.
You know, both these teams are fired up because they come in. They're 2 well-coached teams, and they tend to lead the league in not getting penalties, and they pride themselves in that. And this first part of this game, they look a little overheated, both sides, don't they?
Indianapolis with the fewest penalties in the league. It's 2nd down and goal. Heath Miller, the tight end, lines up as the fullback. Bettis is the running back. Now they send Miller in motion. And again, you've got a false start. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
False start, number 73.
With back-to-back false starts, among other things. Amazingly enough, in the last 7 seasons, the Steelers have played 2 games indoors.
And it's a noise in here. I mean, that's where this crowd is really like the 12th man. And To me, there's an excuse for the tackles to jump. There's no excuse for the guard to jump. I mean, Kendall Simmons, it doesn't have to jump because the quarterback's up under center, and he can hear the count right there. The tackles, it's tough.
Second and goal, but now they're at the 15. Fake toss to the left. Now they give it to Bettis, and the bus takes the ball down to the 12-yard line, where it'll be third down and goal, and a minute and 48 remaining in the opening quarter.
That's just ball handling here. It's the old where you fake the slant and then come back and run the draw. You know, the Rams did that so well for years. They'd fake the slant, hand in the draw, fake the slant, fake the draw, and pass. So they have three things off of that ball handling we just saw.
Roethlisberger, who starts 2 of 4 for 9 yards, takes the snap from the shotgun. On third down and goal, he goes to the end zone for a touchdown to Hines Ward, his main man. And the interception by Polamalu paid off by the offense. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Ben Roethlisberger really zoomed that one in. You're going to see Hines Ward is the front receiver right there. They had him stacked. Hines Ward goes to the inside. The receiver behind him goes to the outside. Roethlisberger picks that thing up, looks at Hines Ward, and drills it into him. Looks like Ben Roethlisberger started to get the little that rust knocked off now, doesn't it?
On his third completion of the night, Jeff Reed for the point after. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers shave the lead to 3. The pick by Polamalu setting up the touchdown. 10-7 of the season for Hines Ward, as the Pittsburgh Steelers make it a 10-7 game on this cool night in Indianapolis.
Good, tough wide receiver. I mean, Hines Ward is one of those guys we're talking about. Edgerrin James doing everything. Hines Ward does everything. I mean, he'll catch the ball and he'll block as well as any wide receiver. He found a Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the crowd with his jersey on and said, if you have guts enough to do that here in Indianapolis, I'm going to give you a football.
These two cities not that far apart. A lot of Steeler fans walking around downtown today. Good festive, friendly environment this afternoon.
You know, it wasn't only today. I mean, those Steeler fans started coming in Friday night and Saturday. They've spent a good 2 or 3 days here.
Terrible towels. Not necessarily in abundance tonight, but you notice the presence. Reed to kick off. Dominic Rhodes back to run it back. From the 6-yard line. Rhodes, who's the backup to Edgerrin James, with flags coming in at the end of the play. 24-yard line. You're going to get a hold.
Number 43, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Matt Giordano. First down. Here's Sam Ryan.
Well, Al, Troy Polamalu's in his 3rd year. He told me he's learning more about playing defense from the offensive players on the team, particularly Hines Ward. He told me he's always picking his brain, asking him what makes it difficult for him as a receiver. You see, it paid off there tonight.
Polamalu and Ward.
You know, and that's a chess game with Troy Polamalu. That, you know, he's like a corner, he's like a safety, he's like a linebacker. But do you play him up to help on the run, or do you keep him back as a safety? They started playing him up. Now they're playing him back.
Here's James. One interesting note, John. They mentioned the Colts, the least penalized team in the league. Already 5 penalties on Indianapolis in the period.
Right, and this is what, if you look, anytime you get 2 safeties deep like this, and there's Polamalu on the right, that tells Peyton Manning that, you know, I have a run and I have a pass, but I am going to run the ball when those 2 safeties are deep.
Second down and 2 now. Half a minute to go in the period. And James this time runs up the back of one of his own men, Tarek Glenn, and gets taken down in what figures to be the final play of the opening period. So the Steelers able to withstand that furious start. With Manning, though, you never know if it's the final play of anything. They're going to quickly get to the line on 3rd down and 2 and get stopped here. So they had 2nd and short, 3rd and short, and now it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, Peyton Manning tried to catch him standing around, and he didn't, and now the Colts are going to pay for it.
End of the period. Indianapolis 10, Pittsburgh 7. Monday Night Football back after these messages. Start the 2nd quarter. Al Michaels, John Madden, Sam Ryan. The unbeaten Colts, who came out on fire. But the Steelers hanging right in there, and right now they're going to get the ball back on an Indy punt as Hunter Smith comes into the game. The seldom used Hunter Smith with their offense.
Right, and the Colts don't punt very often. They only had 10 guys in there in the huddle.
Antoine Randall L. back to receive it. Number 33, Randall L. gets some nice blocks and takes the ball across the 50 to the 49-yard line. So the Steelers will take over on the plus side of midfield. As we take a look at the play before the punt with Taylor involved here.
Well, you know what's Reggie Wayne, 87 there. Ike Taylor comes up and gets him. He's just standing around the pile. And this thing went on for about 5 minutes there. And they just kept jawing each other. You know, as I was saying earlier, this started in the pregame warm-up with Reggie Wayne, and it's been going on the whole game. I mean, these corners and wide receivers on both sides are really getting after each other.
Been a very chippy night so far from the 49-yard line. And another flag here. You're going to have a false start, the third one.
Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's 3 on Kendall Simmons.
Yeah, and again, it shouldn't be the guard. I mean, that's what Bill Cowher has to be saying, that, you know, the tackles, they have a little excuse. There's no excuse for a guard to jump 3 times. Now, again, we know that Roethlisberger has been out the last couple of weeks, so maybe, you know, he's adjusted to a different start count or something. But when you're right next to the quarterback, that shouldn't happen.
Mentioned before, only the 3rd time since '97 they've been inside Jerome Bettis. You might remember as Dan Kreider takes the ball, the fullback. One of those indoor games was the game in Detroit on Thanksgiving a few years ago when there was some question as to whether Jerome Bettis had called heads or tails and Phil Luckett was the referee. The other indoor game was at the Superdome in New Orleans in 2002.
And this is a team that isn't built to play indoors. I mean, this is a big, strong, physical, offensive team that is built to run the ball, and they're really a better outdoors team.
2nd down and 8 from the 47-yard line. Roethlisberger throws, and that catch is made by Heath Miller. Real good-looking tight end, rookie out of Virginia, #1 draft choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a guy who had 6 touchdowns in his first 7 games, but has really missed Roethlisberger over the last 3.
Right, and here's Dwight Freeney again putting the pressure, and this is what he does. You know, if he can't beat you on the speed rush outside, then he'll spin inside. But he spun right into the guard, and Roethlisberger looks like he's getting more confident now.
Back in the groove as Jerome Bettis gets stopped here. Question about Bettis, of course, is how much longer. Stellar career, probably wind up in Canton. 13th year out of Notre Dame, 10 with Pittsburgh after 3 with the LA Rams. In a backup role this year, can still run effectively, but the question becomes, John, does he play after the season?
You know, probably not, but the thing that always impressed me about Jerome Bettis is he has the body of a fullback and can run like a tailback. For as big a guy as he has the lightest feet.
2nd down and 10 at the 38-yard line. Over the middle. That catch is made by Hines Ward, and he gets taken down by Harper, a little short of the first down. Colts defense stellar at the beginning of the season. They were winning games, holding opponents to single digits, and now the Steelers with a taste of Manning going to the line quickly, and before the defense can get set, Roethlisberger plows straight ahead and picks up the first down. So a dose of their own medicine.
Yeah, and I think they caught the Colts with too many men in the field, although the officials didn't see it. But that's what he was trying to do, is get the ball snapped quickly. The Colts really didn't get off the field in time, but Ben Roethlisberger on the quarterback sneak still picked up the first down.
Simon didn't get off the field that time. They didn't call the foul. They picked up the first down anyway. The ball is at the 24-yard line. 1st and 10. 3 minutes into the second quarter. The bus gets taken down by Bob Sanders after a gain of a couple. Bob Sanders, second-year guy out of Iowa. He's only 5'8", 206, but they credit him, John, with, I guess, maybe more than anything else, emotionally helping the defense.
Yeah, and he does, and this is what he has to stay with, those feet of Jerome Bettis that I was just talking about, how he can make those cuts. Again, the body of a fullback that makes cuts like a tailback. He said he had to learn that or he was going to get killed when he became a tailback.
Second down and 8 from the 22-yard line. The bus again. And the bus is going to lose the ball, but after his knee was down, no fumble, ball at the 20-yard line. Cato June makes the stop. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Now what the Colts are doing, and the reason Bob Sanders was up there, he's the safety, and we talk about 8 men in the box, and that's when you have your 4 defensive linemen, your 3 linebackers being 7, and then you bring a safety up at the line of scrimmage, giving you 8 men, and that's been Bob Sanders on those running down. He won't be up there on a passing down.
3 wideouts here. Out of the shotgun they go. A little flip out to the left, and that doesn't fool anybody. Antoine Randall L. made the catch, and Nick Harper, who's the only holdover that starts on defense from the pre-Tony Dungy era. Tony now in his 4th season makes the head.
Yeah, what the Steelers were trying to do is run a wide receiver screen there, and that's the type of thing with Randall L. that you're always aware of because they like to get the ball to him quickly in space.
Jeff Reed must feel as if he's died and gone to heaven, or at least a fantasy land. He goes from Heinz Field, the toughest place in the league to kick a field goal, to a dome. 41-yard attempt. Might as well be Heinz Field. Wide left. Somebody tell Jeff there's a roof. Didn't matter. It stays 10-7. Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Steelers withstanding that opening salvo by the Colts, who scored in the first play from scrimmage and led 10-0 before anybody knew it. Polamalu with a big interception. Steelers get a touchdown. 3-point game now. Manning will start with a play fake and then a deep pass down the right sideline to Marvin Harrison into Pittsburgh territory as the two hook up again. Harrison with his 2nd catch of the night.
See, this time what they do, it's against cover 2. Last time they brought Marvin Harrison down on the end, and on that one it was intercepted. This one on cover 2, he just stays outside. He gets past the corner, and Peyton Manning hits him past the corner in front of the safety who is rotating over. That was a cover 2.
Play good for 36 yards, 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line. James to the left side. Taken down at the 35 by Farrier and Hampton.
We look at Troy Polamalu and how Dick LeBeau adjusted with him. Here he starts up in a cover 3 shell. You see he's up there, and they leave the corner on an island out there. Peyton Manning takes advantage of it. This one here, they say, okay, let's set him back. Let's play him back as a safety and take away the deep stuff to Marvin Harrison. And that time he picks it off.
2nd down and 8 out of the shotgun.
False start. Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Tarek Glenn.
Yeah, that's the home team tackle now. That usually happens to the visiting team tackle.
Irony is Pittsburgh 3rd in the league in fewest penalties. Indy number 1, but the Colts have been penalized 6 times already, and that's the 4th against 6 against Indianapolis, 4 against Pittsburgh. So 10 penalties in the game, and a busy night for Bill Levy to this point.
Pittsburgh Steelers have 6 defensive backs in their dime package.
3 down linemen. And when you show Manning that sort of defense, he's going to say, all right, you give me the run, I'll run it. James picks up about 3. Aaron Smith makes the stop. It'll be 3rd and 11.
You know, we talk about Troy Polamalu and how he's the master of disguise. That time he started in the left side, went back to the middle, came up to the right, and they ran the ball right into him.
Manning not letting Pittsburgh get new personnel on the field. Third down and 11.
We're going to see Louisville right here.
They blitz Polamalu that time, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Dallas Clark.
Yeah, that's what the Steelers could do, is they can blitz you. They overload a side to try and get a free rusher. That time it was from the left side, but they could still play zone behind it. You see, here's the overloaded side here. Here's the blitzing side. You hope to get the free guy from that side, but that doesn't do a lot of good against Peyton Manning because he still gets rid of the ball. But maybe on that time he got rid of the ball a little quicker than he wanted to.
Clark looked back as if he was a little confused as to what the play was. Hunter Smith to punt. Big rush is put on. High floating kick. It bounces at the 7 and is down at the 1-yard line. So Dexter Reed has had a busy night. He's had 2 fouls called against him. Makes a nice play here, though, to pin Pittsburgh deep halfway through the second quarter. 3 points. Have to go with a rookie at left tackle. It's Trey Essex, who played last week in Baltimore because Marvell Smith was out with an ankle sprain. Smith starting tonight, but he's out at the moment here. So Essex, as you look at Marvell Smith on the bench, comes in at left tackle, and that means he's going to see a lot of that man, Dwight Freeney.
They'll probably try and run the ball the first couple downs. The third down is going to be the tough situation for him.
And they start from the 2, and Roethlisberger is going to go right to the air, deep down the right sideline. And Hines Ward was the intended receiver, but Harper with him step for step. It'll be 2nd and 10.
That's something like you just throw up in the park or something, the way he threw that ball up there. But here's Essex right here, and he has to block Dwight Freeney. So, you know, Freeney's going to give him his best move right off the bat, and he gives him that spin move. Essex does a pretty good job. One of the reasons that Freeney will spin so much is they try and get outside help with the pass protected chip on him, and he's spinning away from that double team.
Fullback trying to stay in the chip as Deuce Staley is the running back in this set, and they'll give it to the ex-Eagle. And Staley, who's been active for most of the season, takes it out to the 4-yard line. So Deuce Staley, it's the first time, as I said before, that you've had Willie Parker, who's been their primary running back, Bettis and Staley all in uniform in the same game, and Deuce is in there just briefly. Willie Parker back in here.
You know, when you're coming out here, your first goal is to get the ball to the 5-yard line to give your punter the 15 yards that he needs from the snap.
3rd down and 7. And they're going to give the ball inside to Parker on the inside handoff, and a great tackle as Bob Sanders, and we're talking about him and what he's meant to the defense, comes up to make a great stop to stop them from picking up the first down.
Yeah, and that's what Tony Dungy loves about Bob Sanders is he brings a toughness to this defense, and I think that he always felt that they needed to be a more physical defense, and I'll tell you, Bob Sanders is a physical guy. But the Steelers did get their 15 yards they needed for their punter.
Chris Gardocki from the middle of the end zone. And the left-footed Gardocki sends one to the 48-yard line. Troy Walters will take it on the run, and he gets banged down, but he gets inside the 40. And Manning will go to work from the 36-yard line after the tackle by Mike Logan. 6:11 to go in the half. Indianapolis 10, Pittsburgh 7. John, looking at these numbers, first 10 games, it tells you Manning loves to sit in the pocket. Inside the hash marks, phenomenal. Outside the hash marks, a whole other story.
Yeah, he's a pocket passer, and he's going to be inside the hash marks anytime he's in the pocket. And when he's outside the hash marks, he's going to be scrambling, and he's not a scrambling, throwing quarterback.
He starts at the Pittsburgh 36. and gives it to James. Over the left side, takes the ball to the 30-yard line. Coakley makes the tackle, and that's where James is the kind of guy. He hasn't broken a lot of long runs this year. He's in that 5 to 9 yard range, and if you can pick up 5 to 9 yards, you're doing a great job. Situation right there is exactly what we're talking about. He gets 6, sets up a very manageable 2nd down and 4.
And the Steelers have both their safeties deep, and this is when Peyton Manning likes to check to a run.
He goes to the air. The coverage is very tight, and the pass is incomplete. And you've got Harrison and Taylor engaged again. Talking about that 5 to 9 yard area. As you can see, they're bunched up behind James. You've got Johnson, Portis, Alexander, and Barber all in the high 50s, and then James blows the field away on runs of 5 to 9 yards.
Well, that's what I've always said. You can say you want to run, but your running has to be effective.
And then Manning backs into the gun on 3rd down and 4. Steelers rush only 3. And Manning throws incomplete. So only 3 men rush, and they still are able to get him outside the pocket, but there's a flag down.
Right, because they showed a blitz, and Peyton Manning read blitz. Then they backed out of it. They didn't come, and we're just showing that inside the hash mark and outside. You just saw Peyton Manning outside the hash mark.
Number 81 was covered on the end of the line. The penalty is declined, 4th down.
You see the blitzer showing over here on the right side, and then they didn't come. But look at Fletcher down the middle. He was wide open. Peyton Manning didn't look again, and then he had to scramble. And then when he scrambled, he just kind of threw this ball away. But had he seen Brian Fletcher, I think he was open right down the seam.
Mike Vanderjagt, this will be a 48-yard attempt. Hunter Smith to put it down. Vanderjagt, one of the best in the league for years, splits the uprights. So they don't get a 1st down on that drive, but do get the field goal to increase the lead to 6. Peyton Manning, as usual, in study hall. We go to Sam Ryan.
Well, Steelers left tackle Marvell Smith out with a left ankle injury. You mentioned earlier, Al, that it was his right ankle. The right ankle sprain kept him out last week. It was a high ankle sprain on the right one last week. Tonight, it's the left ankle. His return is questionable.
And you've got a Monday night game. You see Smith, and a big game coming up as well next week for the Steelers at home against Cincinnati. Week after that, Chicago.
That's about as tough as it can get. Have 2 ankle sprains and have to block Dwight Freeney.
Dave Rayner kicks off 8-yard line. This time it's Quincy Morgan who will run it back. And down he goes at the 26. Bill Cowher, in his 14th season, remember Chuck Noll coached 23 years prior to that. You can see Jerry Sloan, 18 seasons in the NBA with Utah. Bobby Cox, 16 seasons as the manager at Atlanta. And look at the age difference, though. Sloan 63, Cox 64. Cowher still younger than most of the coaches in the league. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have had 2 coaches in 37 years.
I think that says a lot about ownership. I think that says a lot about the Rooney family. I mean, they're stable people, and they want stability in their organization.
Staley gets 4. I think one of the most interesting things on the other side would be, as you see Noel and Cowher, most coaches in that span since '69, the Colts in Baltimore and Indianapolis, 15 different men have coached the Colts during that period of time, and that doesn't include the fact that Ted Marchibroda had 2 different stints. So they made 15 changes, 16 different coaching regimes, counting Ted twice. And there is Dan Rooney on the right.
And Bill Cowher is lucky to be coaching for him.
2nd and 6 from the 30-yard line. Staley. Tony Dungy came up as a coach out of that system as well. Tony played with the Steelers, and of course his mentor would be Chuck Noll.
Right, you know, and every time we talk to Tony Dungy, it always starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers. and and Chuck Noll and Tom Moore being there, and the players that that he played with and coached with, and the Rooney family and the organization, and his fundamentals, his foundation, all started here in Pittsburgh, or there in Pittsburgh.
Dungy and Cowher on the same staff at Kansas City years ago. 3rd and 7. They set up the screen to Parker. He gets a block, but not enough for the first down. Gets tackled at the 34. Clock ticking down to 3:40 to go in the half.
Here we talk about Dwight Freeney and a speed rusher, and he's always on the quarterback. Anytime they want to run a draw or a screen, they always run it to his side, because he's going to get up the field, he's going to spin and go after the quarterback. He is not going to be involved in a draw to his side, or a screen like that last play.
Marvin Harrison is back to receive this kick. This is already Gardaki's 5th punt of the half. So they send Harrison back, and Marvin backs up, pulls it in at the 16-yard line, gets around the corner, and a pretty good run back. Well, that's how important the game is when Marvin Harrison goes back to run a punt back. 12-yard return. Little NFL history for you. Most consecutive starts to begin a career. James Lofton at 136. Herman Edwards, 135, started his career at Philadelphia. Now, of course, the Jets coach. Eddie George, the durable one, with 130. And now Manning, who has started his career with 123 consecutive starts.
And he has to get back into a rhythm. He started off in a rhythm, and then he lost his rhythm.
From the 27-yard line, Manning is going to get taken down from behind, and the ball is loose, but the Colts are going to recover as Joey Porter got him from behind, and it's that old sack fumble, but this time the Colts are there. It's Jeff Saturday, the center, who covers up.
Illegal touching, 2nd down.
Joey Porter is going to come from right here, and you see again it's a speed rusher. He's on Dallas Clark there. He goes up the field, and when you have speed and quickness like that, you can go by the quarterback and then still buy a little time and come back in and still get him.
There was a flag that was picked up. These one official thought that Saturday was the receiver, but instead it was a fumble, not a pass. 2nd down and 13. James to the outside, runs into a lot of traffic, but somehow is able to escape and turns a small loss into a pretty nice gain out to the 32-yard line.
Edgerrin James is so impressive, Al. You brought it up earlier, how he does it all. He runs, he catches, and maybe the most important thing when Tony Dungy was saying last night that wherever the rusher is going to come from, we want to get Edgerrin James to that side to be the blocker.
3rd down and 5, and no play prior to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go in the opening half at the RCA Dome. Colts leading the Steelers 13-7. So at a halftime show, the announcement of the Super Bowl halftime act will be made. Tim McGraw, I like it, I love it. Week 12 highlights. The Lions today firing Steve Mariucci, and we'll talk about that coming up at halftime. 3rd down and 5. Ball at the 31-yard line. Manning takes the snap out of the shotgun.
This is an interesting defense. It's a 2-3 dime. 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 6 defensive backs.
Delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, that doesn't happen very often, especially after the 2-minute warning.
Well, like I said, I think they got Peyton Manning out of his rhythm. He started the game 5 for 5 and a touchdown. And then since then, he's been 1 for 5 and an interception. So it's just been the old flip-flop.
Started the game on the first play of the game with an 80-yard touchdown pass to Harrison. So now it is 3rd down and 10. Manning looks like he's in a rap video. Guns it over the middle of Dallas Clark. So with all that gesturing and changing and all the things that he was going through, it works. 3rd and long, and they convert.
You're right, and the Steelers just rushed 3 on that one and dropped 8. made him throw into coverage. That's how teams started the year defending Peyton Manning and the Colts.
Colts have all of their timeouts. Manning with that little pump fake, and then he had Harrison, but couldn't get it to him. The pass is incomplete with 90 seconds to go in the opening half.
You know, and they'd gotten that one to Marvin Harrison before. You know, we saw when Marvin Harrison on that cover 2 came up and went inside, Polamalu intercepted it, and then they just kept him outside and tried to hit him between the corner and the rotating safety. Now they have 3 wide receivers with Stokely in the slot.
Stokely, slot right, Wayne to the left, Harrison to the right. 2nd down and 10.
43's Mike. Polamalu's a Mike.
Polamalu right up there with the line of scrimmage, but he's going to back off into coverage. And Manning's going to throw the right side again for Harrison, who comes back and can't make the catch. Covered by Ike Taylor.
You know what they do? You know, when you hear the quarterback say so-and-so is a Mike, they always have to identify who's the Mike for pass protection. And then you play off the Mike. Then on one side of him is a strong backer, one side of him is a weak backer. He's saying 43 is a Mike. He said Polamalu is a Mike. So that sets up his pass protection. And on that one, they slid to the left. But they always, the quarterback always has to identify the Mike.
And 3rd and 10.
This is all about pass protection, what he's doing now.
And Manning looked like he wasn't ready for the snap. Saturday got it off at 1, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Stokely. So Manning a little surprised because the play clock was down under 2 when Saturday snapped it.
That's the thing, and I said earlier, I think that they got him out of rhythm. He was still calling a play. He was making a hand check out there. He was looking to his right, and lo and behold, here comes the ball. And he gets right back to it, though, trying to get the ball to Stokely. But you see Reggie Wayne in the same area. That means either Stokely or Wayne were wrong.
Hunter Smith sends it skyward. And it will bounce at the 2 and bounce into the end zone. Monday Night Football from Indianapolis being brought to you by Sappy. 1st and 10, 20-yard line. Steelers have 2 timeouts. 70 seconds remaining in the half. And this is a pass to Parker that will take it up to the 28-yard line. They won't waste a timeout here. Roethlisberger coming up to the line.
That was the thing we were just talking about. If you're going to screen against the Colts, you screen to Dwight Freeney's side.
2nd and 3 from the 27-yard line. Roethlisberger to the outside. That'll be caught. Morgan tries to get out of bounds and can't. He's tackled inbounds. Clock keeps going. Nick Harper makes the tackle, and now Pittsburgh will take a timeout, so they have 1 remaining with 39 ticks on the clock. Spotlight tonight through the first half. Manning with 171 through the air, 80 of course on the opening play to Harrison, who's caught 2 for 112. Big play by Polamalu, 36-yard interception return, setting up the Pittsburgh touchdown. Hines Ward scored it to make it a 10-7 game. And as far as rushing yards are concerned, Steelers 27 on the ground, 49 through the air. Indy has outgained them almost 3-1, 216 to 77, 6-point game.
But this Steeler defense has been impressive. I mean, they get off to a bad start. First play is a touchdown, and since then they've calmed down, and you know they have that surprise element. They're disguise and surprise, and what they're doing is a lot of disguise on defense and then backing out, not bringing it.
From the 34-yard line, Roethlisberger moved Parker off his left flank for pass protection, and it won't work because there's a flag down. You may have a face mask here. Dwight Freeney got in there, but may have gotten Roethlisberger's face mask, and that'll stop the clock and cost Indianapolis.
Face mask, number 93, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Big penalty.
Yeah, right. When you have Trey Essex over there on that side, and you have Freeney outside here, he's going to get a bull rush right here. Essex is expecting the speed, and he stands up to handle that speed rush, and Dwight Freeney just goes right through him. Unless he gets a face mask at the end of it.
Yeah, you got an automatic first. You stop the clock as well. Pass is caught over the middle by Antoine Randall. He's up at the 47-yard line. They look over to the bench, and they will take their final timeout. 27 seconds remaining in the half. Ball at the 47-yard line. Run more plays, but 30 plays, 75 yards. That's 2.5 yards per play.
But look at the time of possession. That was one of the things that Bill Cowher was talking about. He wanted to shorten this game and get it into the fourth quarter and then beat the Colts in the fourth quarter.
2nd and 3. They don't have a timeout. Roethlisberger is going to step up, avoids the sack, throwing on the run, moving forward, picked off at the 32-yard line by Mike Doss. And a flag. In fact, 3 come in at the end of the play as the clock ticks down to 15 seconds on the interception.
During the return of the interception, personal foul, low block, number 64 of the throwing team, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And that's going to move them across the 50, and they can set up what they hope will be a Vanderjagt field goal attempt before the end of the half.
Yeah, we talked about the pressure for Franey. That time it was Mathis that puts a pressure on him right here, and that gets Roethlisberger to the outside, and you see that he's looking downfield and he's waiting for someone to come under control. I mean, there's 4 Colt defenders there, and he tried to get it in the middle of the 4.
Looked like Hardings was trying to make a tackle. They call him for an illegal block. It's a 15-yard foul. The ball's at the 45. Indianapolis does have its timeouts remaining. They would probably only need 1 here, and now they have the opportunity to work any part of the field and try to set up a Vanderjagt field goal attempt.
Yeah, that was a tough call. I mean, I thought when I was watching the play live that Jeff Hardings made a pretty good tackle.
And you saw Cowher's reaction to it. Out of the shotgun. Manning will throw over the middle, and that's caught by Harrison, and he's going to take it to the 31. They can take a timeout here with 9 seconds. And Manning is going to say, let me run one more play before we bring Vanderjagt in here. Go back to the foul on Hardings.
Yeah, he's number 64 coming right in here, and he looks like he was trying to make a tackle. I guess they said that he took on the blocker is what he did.
Cato June.
Yeah, I don't know. That's okay unless they got him for a trip. He just made the tackle. I mean, he took on the blocker and made the tackle. That should not have been a penalty.
And that's the exact case that Cowher is pleading right now. Manning wants to run another play. They have a timeout at their disposal. The ball is at the 31. They're going to run it. James. He's going to go to the 27. Now they'll take that final timeout, and Vanderjagt and his unit will come in for about a 44-yard attempt.
Gutsy call for Bill Cowher there, and again, I don't know that I would have made that one.
Very. Only went 7 yards, and so Manning right off the bat starts from the 37-yard line. James, gain of 1. Here's Sam.
I caught up with Tony Dungy. He told me Troy Walters banged up his shoulder a bit, so he went for x-rays. He said if he can't go, then he'll stick with Marvin Harrison to return punts in the second half of the game. He did say that nothing the Pittsburgh defense is doing is surprising him. He said they're doing what they do best. They're blitzing. He said we just have to settle down. We can't take stupid penalties out.
And that's the irony about this one. 8 penalties for 76 yards for the least penalized team in the NFL.
Right, and I think the Steelers are faking the blitz more than blitzing.
Yeah, they only rushed 3 this time. Polamalu backs off, and the pass is caught by Brian Fletcher, one of their tight ends, and it's a first down at the 21-yard line.
I think that's the thing that kind of got Peyton Manning out of his rhythm as they were coming up and showing blitz like this. You know, and he would think they would blitz, and then they were dropping out. And now maybe he's expecting that, you know, that, okay, when they show blitz, I'm not going to go for the fake. I'm going to pretend or act like they're not showing blitz.
From the 20-yard line. James, nice hole. Gain of 9. Again, he's in that 5 to 9 yard range again.
That time they caught Troy Polamalu on a blitz, and you're going to see him right here, and he's going to be coming. But Edgerrin James is such a good runner that he can feel that. He was going to go to the inside, and he felt Polamalu coming out there. He just took one more step to the outside, and then he finishes off runs very, very well.
2nd down and 1 at the 12-yard line. James, he has the first down. He's inside the 10. So Bill Cowher with a tremendous gamble here, down by 9, starts with the onside kick, and right now Indianapolis trying to make it a 16-point game.
You know, what's the last thing that he told us last night when we were talking to him? He said, I have to stay patient. I'm not a patient guy, but against these guys, I have to stay patient. I don't think he did on that.
1st and goal, ball at the 9-yard line. Manning is the patient one here. James nowhere to run. That time he's wrapped up Aaron Smith, the end, 7th-year man out of Northern Colorado, makes the stop.
Was a very good player, and that's why it's so tough to run against this Steeler defense. We know about the linebackers, but with these 3 linemen, it all starts right here. With these 3 guys, they have to stack up everything to free the linebackers. And we're going to see Aaron Smith just get upfield, get penetration, and when you're trying to run a stretch play, there's no way you're going to get it on penetration.
2nd down and goal. Clark in the slot to the left. Wayne wide left. Harrison wide to the right. Manning looking left. Manning throwing to the corner of the end zone, and incomplete, intended for Reggie Wayne. Double covered on the play. Townsend and Polamalu are both back there. And Manning's going to take him right to the line of scrimmage. He doesn't want Pittsburgh to get new personnel in.
He may try and snap the ball to catch him with too many men on the field, but he doesn't. He let him get it. He let him get their substitution in.
With Pittsburgh able to make its changes. 3rd down and goal now from the 12-yard line.
Steelers have 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 6 defensive backs.
Manning in the pocket. Touchdown. Brian Fletcher. Not enough pressure on Manning. Sets up in the pocket. Mentioned before, you saw the numbers, loves it back there, right over the middle to Fletcher.
He has Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, and here you're going to see Brian Fletcher right here in the left side. He just comes in right and runs that seam pass right up the hash mark. Made a little double move on it. He started to the outside and then came back inside.
Fletcher with his first career touchdown last week against Cincinnati, and so the onside kick, you've got a flag down here on the extra point. Bill Levy to make the call.
We didn't anticipate as many penalties as we're getting tonight.
Number 81, defense. 5-yard penalty of being forced on the kickoff. Timeout.
Sean Murray. So the onside kick was a disaster. 23-7. Numbers through the first half tonight. The Steelers only 27 yards on the ground. Colts dominating rushing, passing, total yardage, but it was a 6-point game until late in the half. Roethlisberger threw the interception. You had the penalty. You got the field goal at the end. Then the onside kick that you don't recover. Indy scores, so a 6-point game has rapidly become a 16-point game. And Quincy Morgan gets around the corner and is run out of bounds into the Indianapolis bench, and that will bring another flag into play for a late hit, as he is initially stopped at the 36-yard line, and that's going to give Roethlisberger the ball near midfield.
You know, at some point, Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to start getting the ball downfield. I mean, he's been pretty effective with the short passing. Their running game really hasn't been what they expected.
Out of bounds, personal foul, late hit, number 50 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
And let's go to Sam.
Alan John, Bill Cowher told me Marvell Smith, the left tackle, does not return with that left ankle injury suffered in the first half, so he's sticking with Trey Essex for the second half. He did tell me they have no offense. They have to do something to find their offense and get it going. He said defensively, we said
think they have to take a shot deep. I mean, I think they have to get some play action and try and get the ball up the field a little more.
Roethlisberger starts on the ground to Parker. Roethlisberger grew up in western Ohio in the town of Findlay. Wasn't that highly recruited out of high school, wound up at Miami of Ohio in his home state. So we were talking to him recently about where else could you have gone. He says he's got a great sense of humor. He says, well, Duke was the next choice. I said, Duke? He winks and he goes, yeah, they always make one athletic exception.
I'll tell you, he has a lot of confidence in himself, and he has a good sense of humor, and he has the perfect personality for an NFL quarterback.
2nd down and 3 from the 44-yard line. He throws that to Parker, and Parker is a little short of the first down underneath. He's tackled there by David Thornton, who was the recipient of the penalty on the run back. And Levy is going to signal a first down. He does get the first down. They give him the spot at the 40-yard line.
You see Josh Thomas is in there. It's interesting. Dwight Freeney isn't starting at right defensive end in the second half.
Thomas, second-year guy out of Syracuse. So one Orangeman replaces the other, at least for the moment, at the 40-yard line. Parker out of North Carolina. Larry Triplett makes the tackle. Freeney comes back.
Yeah, they were probably just saving him for passing downs, and letting Thomas play on that first down, and then bring Freeney in on 2nd and long, and then 3rd and long.
Steelers star track the numbers through the first half. As you can see, Bettis only 1.5 on the ground. No rushing attack for Pittsburgh. Ward with 2 catches, 1 for a touchdown. 2nd and 8 at the 38.
I tell you, Dwight Freeney is moving on something, and that something isn't the ball.
79 offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Essex, the rookie.
Yeah, that's what the something was. Because I was watching the ball wasn't snapped, and Dwight Freeney was getting off. Watch Essex, number 79. Again, he has to look in, and when you're that big and you start to jiggle just a little, that movement sets everything off.
That jiggle is like a 6.2 on the Richter scale.
Yeah, when you're 325 pounds and you get a little jiggle starting, you can't stop it. There's no such thing as a little jiggle.
2nd and 13 at the 43-yard line. That's the tight end Miller, who's covered by Thornton and tackled by Thornton at the 37-yard line. They'll need about 7 for a first down here.
It's just fun to watch Dwight Freeney and the way he plays and goes outside with his speed or bull rushes or goes inside in a spin. That time they keep their guard Alan Faneca inside, so when he spins, watch Faneca 66. He's in there waiting for that spin, and he's going to tee off on him.
3rd down and 7. Empty backfield. 3 wideouts, 2 guys in the slot. Roethlisberger underneath to Miller, and he can't get the first down. He is taken down at the 32. So now what's Cowher's decision? David and Doss make the tackle. Roethlisberger looks over to Cowher. Bill's going to go for it here. Down by 16 points against that Indy offense that isn't finished for the night. You got to go for it, and he will.
Yeah, and again, they tried to get something short out of here to the side of Freeney. You can't run the screen left now on Freeney because Freeney's not in there.
4th down and a short 2. They bring the bus in the game. They line up tight apart from the 1 wideout.
Colts take timeout.
That's their first charge. Timeout.
Timeout with 4th down coming up. Colts took a defensive timeout. 4th down, short 2. Pittsburgh. From the 32. Ward is in motion, and another flag.
False start. Number 79 offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That's the rookie Essex, and that's 5 false starts against Pittsburgh, and this has to not necessarily change the strategy, but obviously make it a far different call here.
Right, and Bill Cowher's either going to have to decide to punt, or as you say, he's going to have to change the play. He decided to punt.
Not only change the play call, but take you out of field goal range and compel you to punt.
I mean, it's tough playing indoors on the road with a crowd like this when you're a tackle. And then when you're a rookie tackle, it's even tougher. I mean, you can't hear, you have to look in. All those things are going to happen in a game like this.
Gardocki. High floating kick that bounds in the end zone, so the ball will come out to the 20-yard line. And it's still a 16-point game, and Manning will go back to work halfway through the third quarter as the Colts try to go to 11-0. In the past, you can have a pass rating for a receiver which corresponds with a quarterback rating, and there it is. Reggie Wayne, over the last year and a half, the highest rating for a receiver as an intended receiver of passes. In other words, when Manning goes his way, that would be the pass rating, which is tremendous.
Right, and that's not bad. And of course, that all started when everyone was trying to take away Marvin Harrison, and then he has as much confidence now in Reggie Wayne as he does Marvin Harrison.
Wayne's got 3 for 40, and now you've got Edgerrin James, and the edge picks up 9 to the 29. And you know, you talk about windows of opportunity. The Colts are a young team. Only one guy has played 10 or more years, and that would be Harrison. James can be a free agent. They have the franchise tag on him. He makes about $8 million this year. He might be free again at the end of the season unless they franchise him. And the question is, can they get him under contract?
I think they have to. Yeah, I mean, you have this offense going, the best offense in all of football.
False start. Number 71 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Brian Dean.
And you're not sure which is the most important part. I mean, obviously, Peyton Manning is, but you got Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and all those things. And then, to me, Edgerrin James is the glue that holds the whole thing together.
And Bill Polian knows that. It's up to Bill. He's already signed Manning and Harrison to huge contracts. Second down and 6 now after the penalty.
They ought to be able to run against this because they only have 2 defensive linemen in there again.
And they try James. Stumbles. He still gets back to the 29. You know, one thing, John, with James, too, is that they gave James permission in the offseason to seek a trade, but they couldn't make a deal. You know, it's funny. A guy as valuable as him, he goes out into the market, and the question is, can you find a buyer? Because other teams have salary cap problems as well.
I would be a buyer. Because he's tough. I mean, I like, guys that can run, and I like guys that can, catch passes, but guys that will do that and then block, they're special too. And he's a special guy.
Empty backfield out of the shotgun, 4 receivers, everybody into the pattern. 3rd down and 1. Manning guns it over the middle and finds the open man, and this time it is Ben Utecht, one of the 3 tight ends. So Manning, as he does over and over, a great distributor, finds a new guy, but you've got a penalty against Indianapolis.
And that was the 3rd time that he's gone to a different tight end. He's thrown to Dallas Clark. Then he threw the touchdown to Brian Fletcher, and then that one to Ben Utecht. I mean, if you get in there and you're an eligible receiver and Peyton Manning has the ball, you better be ready for it.
Levy's mic wasn't open until the second part of the call. I'm not sure what the penalty was. Now they're going to say an illegal formation was the call.
Well, they shifted and got into that empty backfield you were talking about, and then the outside guy gets up in the line of scrimmage, and then he covers the guy next to him inside.
3rd down and 6, 24-yard line. Manning throws, and that is caught. Stokely makes the catch. You had 2 Colts and 2 Steelers right there. And Stokely, and obviously there's a lot of jawing going on between him and one of the defensive backs, makes the catch. 1st down.
Yeah, they tried to get the pressure on Peyton Manning right up the middle. They're going to run a blitz, a cross and blitz. You see, they bring both linebackers up to the inside and cross them. Peyton Manning reads it and gets the ball out to Stokely. That's a pretty good combination. We're talking about Manning and Harrison, Manning and Wayne. Manning and Stokely is also pretty good.
From the 32-yard line to the outside goes James on the stretch play picks up 4. That's his 20th carry of the night. He is a workhorse throughout his career. Most consecutive team games with 20 more carries in a season. You go back to Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos in '97, and now James in all 11 games this season with the Colts. Averaging 4 yards a carry, which is about the league average. Second down and 6.
Well, we know who the Mike is, Al. 51 is the Mike. James Ferrier.
Pressure on from the outside. Manning gets it away. Wayne makes the catch. Coakley makes the tackle. They'll move the chains again.
You know, we talk about Edgerrin James and running and the great balance he has and all that, but here's what I like what he does. You know, and if you're going to have a great passer and they're going to try and blitz him, you better have a back there with them that can protect when they do come in a blitz. And Edgerrin James is as good at that as anyone.
All he needs a little chip. Buys that extra split second. Pays off on the other end. Ball at the 44 with 3:40 to go in the third. Fake to James. He stays in the block again. And the pass incomplete. So Edgerrin runs the ball, catches the ball. They fake it to him. Gets in the block when he has to. Throughout his career, remember, he had major knee surgery. So that's the fall off there, 2002 to 2003. And now, over the last season and a half, 4.6 yards per rush.
And that could be why they had no takers. They were probably still worried about that knee.
Second down and 10, 44-yard line.
I'd like to be an offensive lineman for the Colts and have to stay in your stance that long.
And that's James. And the defensive lineman as well, you know, having exercised the patience on the other side.
Yeah, I know as an old offensive lineman, you know, you always wanted the quarterback get up there and snap the ball, get off. You didn't want to have to stay in that stance for a long time. But, you know, I talked to the Colts about it, and that's the way they play. I mean, they start that in mini camp, and they do it in training camp, and they do it in preseason. So they're used to getting down in that stance and staying in it.
And the no-huddle, something that Tony Dungy inherited when he came over. It wasn't broken, and there was no need to fix it. And Manning throws, and that's caught by Reggie Wayne for a first down. So Manning goes left, right, short, middle distance, finds a bunch of different guys, and this time it is Wayne making his 5th catch.
And now Peyton Manning is back in a rhythm, and he has what he wants. That's just a zone defense, 4-man rush, and he's just looking, finding the open guy. And you know, they talk about Reggie Wayne probably has the best hands in the team. And we know Marvin Harrison is a great wide receiver, but just hands, catching the ball with your hands. Reggie Wayne's the best.
His 5th catch, and all of them have been good for a first down. And this time, James can only block Townsend momentarily, and then Townsend able to get around him on the inside and gets the sack of Manning.
Yeah, Edgerrin James, when he makes a good block, I'll say he makes a good block. When he makes a bad one, I'll say it's a bad one. And, you know, Peyton Manning is counting on him, you know, to get this block over here on this side, and right there, he doesn't get it. That is a poor job. You know, they always want to send him to the side of the blitz. I mean, he's always going to go to that side and take the outside blitzer.
Only the 8th sack allowed by Indy this season. Less than 1 a game. Second down and 13. James. Clark Higgins makes the hit with 1.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
You see what Troy Polamalu did very, very well on that play. When you're the outside guy, you want to get containment. And containment means you get on his outside shoulder and you force the running back to the inside. Watch Polamalu. He's going to come up, get on that outside shoulder. Okay, he misses, but what he did is he forced James back into pursuit.
James needs a breather. Dominic Rhodes comes into the game. He'll flank Manning in the shotgun. 3rd and 13 at the 44. Under a minute in the period. Manning stepping up to the outside. And incomplete. Intended for Brian Fletcher, then not in field goal range. So Hunter Smith, the punter, comes in.
Yeah, Dominic Rhodes was in there that time, and he didn't do a very good job of picking up the blitzer either. And, you know, Peyton Manning, the quarterback, really doesn't look at the rush. He's not looking at the linemen. He's not looking at the blitzers. He has to look upfield. But having said that, you still feel it when a guy is right on your shoulder or very close to you.
You talk about something different. That drive consumed almost 7 minutes, and the Colts didn't even get into field goal range. That's news. Hunter Smith's kick. Bounces at the 3. Colts can't down it. Touchback. Roethlisberger and the gang come out to the 20. 38 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. 23-7 Colts. Begins this drive at the 20-yard line. Roethlisberger, 13 of 17, and that one is almost picked off by Gary Brackett.
You know, now Gary Brackett can do that because they have the lead, and that's the type of thing this Colt defense was talking about. You know, we want to take away their run, put the game in Roethlisberger's hands, make him throw the ball, and then we can loosen up and just use our pass rush and get our drops in our zones.
Roethlisberger putting it right into Brackett's hands. Is lucky that one wasn't run back.
Didn't expect him that deep.
And the draw doesn't work as Bob Sanders comes in on the blitz and knocks down Willie Parker.
You know, Bob Sanders has been in there the whole night, hasn't he? I mean, he's been up and around the line of scrimmage making hits all night. You know that when you have a safety like that you can play back and then you can bring him up like this and he can hit like a linebacker, that is a big addition to your defense. And probably of all the additions to this Colt defense, I think this guy's the biggest.
The Indianapolis Colts 15 minutes away from going to 11-0. Lead at the end of 3. 23-7. And Monday Night Football resumes after this message from our ABC stations. Al Michaels, John Madden, Sam Ryan, RCA Dome, Indianapolis. 23-7 Colts. As we start the 4th period, it's 3rd down and 11. Ben Roethlisberger from the shotgun from his own 19-yard line.
This team is not built offensively for 3rd and 11.
The longest pass play tonight, 12 yards. Going deep, and he finds the man. Cedric Wilson, because Roethlisberger was able to buy time, gets in front of Mike Doss, avoids the rush, does Big Ben, and picks up a huge 1st down.
You know, those are 2 things that Ben Roethlisberger has to do now. One is to scramble a little like this, move a little because he's very good at doing this, and then get the ball up the field.
35-yard pass play. The longest play, as I said, was 12 yards, and that was the touchdown to Hines Ward.
He is really a tough quarterback to get to the ground.
And he's very tough when contacted. Raheem Brock drove him away that time. This time he gets contacted and gets it off to Parker. We talked about this in the San Diego game, and there's been a little, well, his shoe came off, so there's no problem here. But you take a look at this. Roethlisberger, when contact is made by the defense before or during the act of passing since 2004, 102.5. The NFL overall rating is 82.8. He is twice as good as the league average when he's contacted, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's the type of quarterback he is. He kind of turns his shoulders a little, and he's so big and strong, guys just fall off him.
And now Parker at a point when the Steelers try to get something going on the ground. Parker tonight, who's their primary running back, has carried 8 times, but for only 15 yards.
You know, and that's the thing. I mean, you can be a running team, but if you don't run efficiently or effectively, then you have to go to the pass to open up the run. Maybe that little scramble, that deep pass kind of loosen up this Colt defense, and now maybe they can get back to a little more running and maybe better mixture.
They're averaging just 2.2 yards per rush. Crowd gets a little nervous. Roethlisberger under pressure, under contact, sack. Josh Thomas, number 91.
You know, Josh Thomas got Ben Roethlisberger in the perfect place. If you try and get him up high, he just moves those shoulders like we were talking about. But if you get him down low, below the knees, there's nothing he can do about that one. Watch Josh Thomas here. He's number 91. He starts to scramble out there a little, and he goes low, and he gets him right around the ankles, and that's the way to get Ben Roethlisberger down.
We got through Matt Starks, and the secondary did its job as Ben couldn't find anybody open. Second down and 17 after the 7-yard sack. They double Freeney on the outside, and that pass is a little behind Hines Ward and a little high. He was free, but a little bit behind him.
You're right. He was free. He had him there, and it was just a bad pass. Hines Ward got in the hole again between the corner and the safety. You see him coming up the field right there. Ben Roethlisberger throws it a little behind him and a little high. Had he let him out in front of him, he would have had a big completion.
Now third down and 17. Hugh Staley flanking Roethlisberger in the gun. Ben's going to run to his right. He has a lot of open space, but with 17 yards to go, he can only get to the 27. So he had a ton of space, but Robert Mathis is there to make the tackle, and he only gets 12 yards when he needed 17, so it's 4th and 5, and Cowher says we're going for it.
Yeah, and that's a tough situation for a quarterback that's just coming off knee surgery a couple weeks ago, because you get in the open field and you can see, you know, should I go for this? Should I be a hero? Should I dive for the first down? But, you know, you can't do that because your body's not going to let you yet.
4th and 4, field goal is of little help. It would still be a 2-possession game, which it is right now, 16-point differential. Roethlisberger on 4th and 4 out of the gun. And he's going to run it, but he's going to come up a yard short. Corey Simon is there, and they're going to turn the ball over on downs.
Right, and that was a design called run. That was a quarterback draw.
On 4th and 4?
Yep.
They're going to take a look. I mean, they're asking for a measurement, but there's nothing really to measure here. Indianapolis stops him. Curious, very curious. Outside the RCA Dome. Go to commercial, John. I said curious. The call, 4th and 4, quarterback who had just run for 12, coming back after missing 3 games with a knee problem, and they don't get it. They turn it over on downs, and now the Colts can start using some of the clock, and who better to do that with than Edgerrin James?
And I think Peyton Manning this week will. You remember last week they had the lead, and he was throwing at the end of the game because he was still reading the defenses, and Tony Dungy said that was his fault. He didn't tell him, you know, just slow the game down and and run the clock out. So he just kept playing his read. He said that won't happen again.
Of course, they can still go without the huddle. It doesn't mean you have to snap the ball. Just let the play clock go down as far as you wish.
Peyton does have trouble slowing down. He's a heavy, high motor guy.
2nd and 1 after that 9-yard run by Edgerrin James, and here he goes again. He picks up the first down up to the 38-yard line, and Edgerrin James right now closing in on triple figures. 24 carries, 96 yards. Some of the key guys. How have they been doing individually? Manning, 2 touchdowns, 242 yards. James, steady, solid. What else is new? Harrison, an 80-yard touchdown grab, 3 catches total.
I think now if this were a normal NFL offense, they wouldn't pass anymore. And if this were the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll guarantee you they wouldn't pass another ball the rest of the game.
James 25th carry of the night to the 42-yard line.
He just made that move, Al, that you like, that jump cut. When he goes to the left and puts all his weight on his left leg and then jumps back to the right.
Makes better jump cuts than Martin Scorsese.
No, he makes great jump cuts.
(101 yards). The Steelers had a 22-game streak without allowing a 100-yard rusher.
He is letting that play clock go down.
Under pressure, flushed out, throws underneath, catch is made. Brian Fletcher comes back to bail him out for a minimal gain, and that'll set up a 3rd down and 4.
You know what Peyton Manning calls Brian Fletcher? He calls him Mr. Suggestion. He says here he is, you know, the second tight end, and he always has a suggestion, but he doesn't take his mouthpiece out. And he's always talking with his mouthpiece in. And he says, I don't listen to those guys anyway. I don't understand a word he's saying.
Fletcher may have suggested a pass to him earlier that resulted in a touchdown. 2 in 2 weeks for the guy from UCLA.
Well, he's playing a lot because they're playing a lot of 2 tight ends with Dallas Clark in the slot.
Here comes the blitz. It's picked up and the pass is underneath, and it won't get a 1st down as Marvin Harrison cuts across the middle and Ike Taylor makes the tackle, and Indianapolis will have to kick, and by the time Hunter Smith gets it airborne, there'll be about 7.5 minutes to go in the 4th.
Maybe next time the Colts get the ball, they won't pass anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, if that was just the opposite, and again, if that were the Steelers, once Bill Cowher gets a lead, and Bill Parcells is the same way, those guys get a lead and they got a good running back, they just feed it to him the rest of the game and just eat time off the clock.
Smith to kick it, Antoine Randall to run it back. Flag is thrown. Randall will make a fair catch at the 12-yard line.
I think Antoine Randall is a little frustrated because maybe that last call, but on that last drive, he was over there in the sideline very upset. And I think probably being behind is one thing. His not getting the ball much is another thing. And maybe that draw on 4th down is yet another.
And there was a frustration which
during
is
the
evident.
punt, personal foul face mask, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down, timeout.
20th total penalty in the game. Here comes the spittle. 16-point game. Steelers, after their 9th assessed penalty, begin this drive from the 6. Roethlisberger out of the end zone, and that pass nearly picked off as Bob Sanders breaks up the play.
Ben Roethlisberger threw that right when he had to because Corey Simon was coming on a pass rush right up the middle. We're talking to watch Corey Simon right there, and you see that he was going right for Ben Roethlisberger just as he got rid of that one.
Simon picked up on the eve of the season. He couldn't make a deal with Philadelphia, so the Eagles let him go. Comes over here.
Tony Dungy said he's going to be a lot better player for him next year because he's going to lose a little weight and play more of a speed game.
2nd down and 10. And Roethlisberger is able to get away. Throws it to the outside where Cedric Wilson makes the catch. He's tackled at the 13. It'll be 3rd down and 4 next.
Although his power game's not bad. He got a power rush. In fact, he had 2 pretty good rushes in a row, and then he comes out on 3rd down, and I think that's part of the weight too.
Small defense, but fast and very effective.
If you don't count Corey Simon.
Right? Yeah. That's why he'll be in better shape, according to Dungy next year.
He's going to be smaller and faster next year.
3rd down and 4. High snap, stays with it, shovel pass. And that's going to be a 1st down as Hines Ward comes out of the slot to take the shovel and move the chains.
That's the thing about these Steeler wide receivers, Antoine Randall and Hines Ward. They're very good at these kinds of things. I mean, they got, you know, the shovel. They can come in motion. They can run underneath. Here you see Hines Ward starts like he's a slot, just comes underneath, and catches that thing and gets it for a first down. Both of their wide receivers can make those plays.
Steelers need to begin to pick up the pace. 6 minutes to go. Ball at the 19. Roethlisberger goes over the middle. He was under duress that time, and that pass is incomplete. Ben is now 17 out of 25. Let's take a look at Bob Sanders, John.
He's the physical part of this defense, and you can just see the plays that he makes. I mean, he's back here, he reads run, he gets up there and hits like that. Here he's on this side, and the thing that I like about him is he gets there, but when he gets there, he looks like he's a little upset, and he's going to do something about it. I mean, as I said, he's the biggest addition to this defense in the last couple of years.
2nd and 10, you've got a flag thrown. Spin around the move, Willie Parker to the 26.
I think we talked to Bill Cowher last night that he was happy with his team, that he was getting guys back. Like he
illegal
got
formation. Number 86 offense was not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
He got Ferrier. He got Marvell Smith. I mean, he was getting his guys back, but he said, "I wished I would have had him back a week or two before we had to play these guys." I think he thinks that he's going to be better, say, 2 or 3 weeks from now than they are right now.
And not having them back last week cost them an upset loss to the Ravens in Baltimore.
Right, and then getting Roethlisberger back tonight, you can see that he's rusty.
Hasn't played since Halloween night, the Monday night game against Baltimore. 2nd and 15. Ben has that one intercepted by Jason David.
That's what the Colts do to you. They get ahead of you, and then they go to that Tony Dungy Tampa 2. That corner just starts wide and going back with that wide receiver. Going to be watching out for you.
That's what Canyon Ranch will do for you. What can I tell you?
I don't know if that's spikes or 2 birthday cakes.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 36-yard line as Indy takes over after the interception. Edger and James. Just another 100-yard night.
Do you think the Colts can keep it on the ground? I mean, you think that they can go and not throw another pass the rest of the game? Because they don't have to win this game.
No. Well, only because of last week when they talked about the fact that they should have used the clock and didn't.
And then Tony Dungy said it was his fault because he didn't tell Peyton Manning and or Tom Moore to just run out the clock. I would think he would have told him that tonight. Let's get away with the victory.
James got 10 on that last rush. Ball to the 25. Under 5 minutes to go. Manning tonight, 15 out of 25, 245 yards. His rating is over 100 at 102.9. Got off to a slower start than usual this year, but this is going to make it if he stays over 100. 6 straight games with over 100. The last player with a 100+ rating against Pittsburgh, you go back to the end of last season, it's all in the family. Eli did it in the Giants-Steeler game. 2nd and 6.
Whoops, he ran into it. See what he did? He called opposite. He was going to run to the right, and then he changed it, and he called a run to the left, and he ran right into a blitz. But again, with a guy like Edgerrin James, he's good enough. He sees that blitz. He's running into the blitz, and he just cuts back against it.
Speaking of blitz, well, the media blitz, which has already sort of started, will really pick up some steam right now. Can the Colts do it? On the verge of going to 11-0. We'll take a look at the 5 remaining games, and they have a pretty tough schedule down the stretch.
I see where Don Shula last week said that he believes that they're going to.
James again, flag. For the moment, he has a first down pending the call. Next week, they get Tennessee here. Okay, that's a game they should win. Then they go to Jacksonville, which is a different kind of game right now, of course, because Leftwich is out. San Diego comes here. And it's going to be a very important game for the Chargers, who dug an early hole, defensive foul. The game at Seattle on the 24th of December is pretty fascinating in a number of ways. And then, of course, if they go to 15-0, they get Arizona here. When they go to Seattle, it's possible that both teams could have everything wrapped up. You could have two teams playing for nothing, but the Colts looking to sustain a perfect record.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough decision for Tony Dungy. If you have everything clinched, but you're still undefeated, what do you do? I think you go for the undefeated.
I think he will too, and I think Dungy and Manning have a great sense of history. You know, you can look at it a couple of ways. Andy Reid last year clinched everything with the Eagles in the NFC, and then he not only didn't play some key guys, he didn't even suit them. But Manning, a football historian, Dungy understands what this is all about. I remember Mike Shanahan saying when the Broncos were 13-0 back in '98, he said, you know, we're using this as a carrot to try to go undefeated and to keep us along that path. Even though the Broncos stumbled, lost to the Giants and lost to Miami, they did eventually go on to win the Super Bowl.
You know, but this team has a lot, this Colt team. I mean, you watch them, they practice hard, they study, they work, they do all those things. They have a heck of a lot of pride, and I think if they got to that situation that they would want to win. I mean, there's no way that they would say, now I know if someone gets hurt, you have to go. But we've done 3 Colts games this year, and they have the same starters. They have the same guys playing every game.
Average margin of victory, 15 points. They lead by 16. No game closer than 7. 2-minute warning, and this crowd can smell 11-0 tonight because they're going to be a game up in the AFC North. And the Indianapolis Colts 2 minutes away from going to 11-0.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Bob Greasy, or a couple of months ago it was now, Bob Greasy said, we don't worry the old 72 Dolphins until a team gets to be 10-0. Well, they're 11-0 now, and the 72 Dolphins are starting to worry.
And Tennessee coming here on Sunday. Rhodes to the 11. And they'll bring in Vanderjagt. We go to Sam Ryan.
You're talking about the 72 Dolphins team, the last team to go undefeated. I spoke to Hall of Fame linebacker Nick Bonaconte about the pressure that goes along with that. He told me there was no pressure at all on them to go undefeated. Their focus the entire season was to go back to the Super Bowl after being humiliated by Dallas, guys.
Injury on the field right now. Kimo von Oelhoffen shaken up. In Indianapolis just about midnight, and this will write a finish to it here as Mike Vanderjagt attempts a 28-yard field goal to make it a 3-possession situation, and it makes it 26. And a shout out to Ted Koppel for 25 years of unbelievable, fabulous, incredible work. Brett Kiesel will run it back. Edgerrin James, 29 carries, 124. Harrison got it started tonight. 80-yard touchdown reception on the first offensive play of the game. But some key moments in this one, John. Parker across the 50, first down. Jeff Reed misses a 41-yard field goal. That would have tied the game. You've got the Roethlisberger interception near the end of the first half and the Harding's penalty, which sets up a Vanderjagt field goal to make a 6-point game a 9-point game. And then the onside kick that doesn't work to start the second half, and Pittsburgh was done.
Yeah, and the Steelers never recovered from that. Watch Bob Sanders here. I mean, every time he unloads, he looks like he's mad at something. You know, he looks like I'm gonna go get something. I'm not in a good mood.
And Tony Dungy came, and you've got another flag here. Dungy said to Peyton Manning, I promise I'm going to get you a defense. And Bill Polian has drafted for defense. Jim Irsay owning the team.
nose guard of the defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Indy was standing a lot of penalties tonight, and now they've built that defense to go with that potent offense.
You know, and that was a perfect marriage when they hired Tony Dungy here, because you think, geez, this is an offensive team. They have Peyton Manning, they have Edgerrin James, they have all these guys. Why a defensive coach? Because they needed defense. And if you just keep the offense and then you improve the defense, like Tony was saying, it takes a lot of pressure off Peyton. I mean, he doesn't have to gamble. Everything's not on his shoulders. He doesn't feel that every time the Colts go out there now, they have to score a touchdown.
If Tony looked a little perplexed for a guy who's on his way to 11-0, it's 12 penalties against the Colts tonight. That's the one blemish. But Pittsburgh's almost offset that with 10 of their own. To the 23.
And these are two teams that don't get a lot of penalties and an officiating crew that doesn't call a lot of penalties.
Didn't figure.
I thought this would be a faster game with very, very few penalties. But, you know, emotion ran high in this game. You know, we were talking about earlier how it started in the pregame warm-up.
2nd and 1. Ball at the 24-yard line. So the final minute now, 11-0, matching Denver. Denver went to 13-0 in 1998. And then of all things, the Giants and Kent Graham at quarterback, beating them in the 14th week. In Miami, the only undefeated team running the table regular and postseason in the history of the National Football League. And Indy will have to win 2 more games than did Miami to match that. 3rd down and 3.
What would be your guess that they will or won't?
Ooh, boy, I'll tell you something. I would have said no, but the way they've played tonight, I mean, major opponent, quality opponent, big game for Pittsburgh. They've got it all going right now. I'm looking ahead here and I'm thinking they've got a pretty good chance.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. And as I said earlier, Don Shula thinks that they're going to do it, and I agree with him.
The one thing about going 16-0, 8-0 is not halfway to 16-0. 13-0 is, because then the pressure will really mount. But the Colts look great tonight and win it 26-7.